how's it going? So let's talk about We Happy Few, alright? This is a game that surprised a lot of people at E3. I think it got a lot of people interested into it. It's quite specifically because it looks like it takes a lot of inspiration from games like BioShock and kind of gives you this creepy, dystopian, retro atmosphere, and basically it just looks really, really interesting, alright? Well, I got to play the game at E3 2016, and I'm here to give you guys my thoughts, and I think it's going to surprise you, because this is not the game that you guys are expecting. So We Happy Few takes place in the late 1940s. It's basically after the events of World War II, and the premise is actually pretty interesting. Europe, after the events of World War II, it takes place in, Europe, and people have got addicted to this drug called joy, and people take this drug in order to forget the horrors and the events and all the bad stuff that they did and that happened to them during the Second World War. And people who refuse to take this drug, people who don't take this drug called joy, are basically outcasted, and they live in the basically destroyed cities of the World War II era in England. So you are one of the people who are up in the higher up of society, I guess you can call it, the people who are addicted to this drug. And your job is to basically rewrite and re-edit newspaper feeds in order to hide all the awful stuff that's basically in them. Basically, if a news story comes through and it's about a horrendous event, you would basically mark that paper and say, all right, you need to re-edit it and make sure it's only a happy event, or you can either clear it for entry and have it, displayed publicly for people to read. So your character comes across a news story that is actually about him and his old brother, and he begins to remember all the events and stuff, and he starts to get really sad. And your character refuses to take the pill called joy in order to remember these events during World War II. Well, long story short, people quickly find out that he is off of his drugs, and they label him as a downer. And so he's basically outcasted from the higher up city and is sent down into the depths of the depressed ruins of England. So that is the premise of We Happy Few. It's pretty interesting and pretty wacky out there. The reason that these characters wear these clown masks, this is actually pretty interesting, is because it's actually done from a technical perspective. The reasons that you see these people who are on joy wear these clown masks or these happy faces and things like that is because it's actually easier and less expensive for the animators to edit real-time emotions. And speaking with one of the developers, she told me that the reason behind that was specifically because they didn't want to spend their extra resources and money animating faces and stuff like that. So they said, we're just going to slap some clown faces on them, and it actually works from an art direction perspective, alright? Now let's get down to the gameplay, since I know a lot of people want to see what that is. I think a lot of people were expecting an exploration-heavy, narrative-driven, survival horror type of game. Something similar to like the first BioShock, or maybe kind of like Half-Life in that respect. Something where a horror element was also involved with an action element, alright? That is the polar opposite of this game, to be honest with you guys. This is a hardcore survival game, alright? You're going to have to keep yourself well fed. You're going to have to keep yourself well hydrated. You're going to have to go to sleep and keep yourself well rested, otherwise you will lose stamina. There is no regenerative health at all whatsoever in the game, and the whole world is dynamically generated. So it's not the same experience for everyone else. Basically, you have one part of the city that's completely dynamic versus another person who's like, oh, I'm in the same part of you as the game, but I'm in a different area because it's all dynamically generated, alright? Procedurally generated is the actual technical term, excuse me. So that is We Happy Few. I mean, I was playing this demo, and I played about 30 minutes of the game, and I actually quit the demo because I didn't actually know what to do or where to go. And I was kind of getting lost, and there was also a line of people behind me, so I didn't want to like hold up the line and kind of be rude. But this game is very much a survival game. It has more in common with Don't Starve than it does with any BioShock game or any game that you think it may have in common with. It's very much you looking around for food, gathering food, looking around for water, getting water, and looking around for like a bed to sleep in and sleeping, and that's what you will do. There's a dynamic day and night cycle that goes on, and you're basically trying to survive your through a certain amount of days and also get through the narrative at the same time. You can craft weapons, and actually you can pick up like a twig, for instance, and then later on use like a knife if you find something and make a spear out of it or something like that. There's batons and different armors and apparel and stuff that you can actually unlock and equip to your character, which will allow them to get better health and actually take more hits without getting, more or less damage. There's multiple stuff like that, which kind of makes this game very interesting to play. And even though it's describing that is going to probably turn some people off, because it's really not what you're expecting here. My main gripe with the game is that it could really lend itself to repetitiveness very, very easily. Because there's this group of people who are not going to like that gameplay of just having to, alright, I gotta feed myself, I gotta keep myself hydrated, I gotta go to sleep because otherwise I won't have stamina. And this could be a problem. I think this could actually turn a lot of people off, and hopefully it's done well enough to the point where it doesn't become an annoyance and a hindrance to the main part of the game, which is exploration. So there is a ton of stuff to explore. You can talk with different people and they will tell you about the world. In order to get to the next area, I had to find like a joy pill and also a security guard pass. So I had to go up to a security guard, and this is what I was trying to do. I was trying to find this pill, the joy pill, so it could verify that, okay, this guy's not a downer, he's joyful, let him into this next part of the city. And I guess from what I can understand, because I don't know too much details about the narrative, from what I can understand, this is a story about you trying to find out what happened to you and your brother, and also trying to find out the true events of the world and how it came to be like it was. That is what I can ascertain from what I played. So, We Happy Few is an interesting game. It's a game that kind of took me by surprise because of the way it played, because it was so different than what I was expecting. And I think the way I'm describing the game to you guys is very much different than what you were probably expecting. You were probably expecting something, like BioShock or like Half-Life, or something like that, where okay, you're in this dystopian society. You have to hide from your enemies. You only have like a limited number of health and weapons, and it's kind of like a horror element mixed with a slight action element to it. And that's really not what it is at all. It's a survival game. It's about resource management, crafting, making sure that you, as your health from your food, your water intake, and also your sleep is all kept well, and that's pretty much what the meat of the gameplay is. So the game's coming out early access at the end of this month, I believe. I do not believe it's coming to PS4. I think it's Xbox One, and I do think it is PC only, but I'm not exactly 100% sure about that, alright? But you guys can let me know what you guys think about the game. If you guys have any more questions about the gameplay and stuff, write them in the comments and I'll see what I can do, and we'll go on from there. Alright guys, thanks for watching and have a good one.